Renegades of Long Beach Roller Derby, and you're watching MoonKILL Radio. Woo!
It's where we review records. We have our segment, New Music Mondays, that we review music from present to about 15 years. That's kind of the threshold. So anything past that, we will review here on what's on the slab. I want to give another big shout out to my partner in crime, George, who is the other half of MoonKILL. So anyone out there that listens to our live at MoonKILLs, who listens to those and say, wow, man, that sounds good. I want my band to sound like that. You can hit us up, moonkillradio at Gmail. You can hit us up here. You can hit us up wherever at MoonKILL Radio. You want to get to our buddy George Revelis. Look up Astro Boy Studios on SoundCloud. Hey, he can work that audio engineering magic, right? The magic, working the magic on the boards. That's right. But also, we want to give a shout out because we love the guy. This is what's on the slab. So we're going to talk about albums from our collection, but going through a whole collection. So even though MoonKILL Radio, even though MoonKILL Radio, we have our indie rock or indie alternative music, punk kind of thing. We do have a library with other stuff in it. Because of him, we said, okay, let's go through a lot of our records and stuff. So we have a library to do so. Why not use it, utilize it, right? So we'll start off with this one. We've already done some in the past, gotten away from the punk thing and the new wave thing. But this one, we'll get into, and this is a special one for us, for me personally. One of my favorite bands. I think my favorite album by this band. This is a family classic in my household growing up. This is a band called Budgie, from Wales. From Wales, right? The Welsh. This is their album Bandolier. If I remember correct, this is about their 5th record, I believe. I believe it's their 5th record. But it's my favorite lineup of the band, though. But first off, look at that. Like, that's just like menacing, right? Like, check that out. Trust me, I've played this record many times growing up and just stare at this cover. Just, like you do, you stare at things, right? While you're playing the records. For anyone that's into rock, hard rock, kind of borderline heavy metal, but that 70s hard rock, like I said, borderline heavy metal, this is a great band to get into. Their early stuff is real heavy, sludgy, like a Sabbath. So for anyone that likes Black Sabbath, check out their first albums. Their first one was self-titled. Second one was called Squawk. The third and fourth ones, they got more upbeat to me. They weren't as sludgy and not as gritty. They got more upbeat. This one just sounds great. The sound is not as gritty like a. Those first 2 records were like a Master Reality kind of records. Real heavy, sludgy, metallic guitars, with that kind of rock, like hard rock to them, 70s hard rock sound. This one takes away some of that sludginess, right? To take away some of that sludginess, more of the songs are upbeat, up-tempo, not so slow. But this was one of the ones that I grew up on. We had in the house, and everybody played constantly. The band Tony Borge, I'm just gonna say Borge, on guitar. Great fucking guitar player. Steve Williams on drum, who was their fourth drummer, something like that. I forgot. But I think this is my favorite. This is my personal favorite lineup of the band. The one I love the most. Burke Shelley on bass and vocals. Burke Shelley was always kind of compared to like a Geddy Lee from Rush. Plays bass. He sings. He's got a high pitched voice, kind of thing. Didn't do screaming like Geddy Lee did. Didn't hit them high fucking notes. Geddy Lee can hit some high notes back in his day. But just a good. I mean, for what they do is, I'm not gonna say he's you're not gonna listen to him with hoping to be a vocalist kind of thing, but he's great. He's a great singer, great at the bass. But it's just just hands down, man, just classic rock, hard rock. Like I said, borderline metal, but just classic hard rock, man. So for anyone that loves some 70s hard rocking, if you're a fan like me of, like the Sabbaths and the Deep Purples and like UFOs and bands like that, check these guys out. It's great. They have a lot of great stuff out there. But this is my personal favorite. Let's see. There was nothing much came. It was on A&M Records, right? Oh, this was basically a promo copy. So you got your white label promo. 1975. First side, breaking all the house rules and learning all the house rules. And that was another thing with Budgie. If you don't know Budgie, one of the first things you learn is they have some funky fucking song titles. They're like, where the hell do you come up with this shit? Like that. That's the name of the song: breaking all the house rules and learning all the house rules. And then there's song 2, slip away. Slash a parrot, fashion ball. Number 3, who do you want for your love? With never turn your back on a friend. Never Turn Your Back on a Friend was another album title before this one came out. But then you go to the second side, which is my favorite side, and the side that I really, really grew up on. Like all these songs my family knows to death. Starts off with I Can't See My Feelings, Rock Climbing. What the fuck? I Ain't No Mountain for you to climb out. And then, of course, the epic Part 1 and 2, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bona. See? So they put Bona Part 1, Bonaparte 2. But, yeah, their song titles are just like, what is it? You're the best thing since powdered milk. Hot as a doctor's armpit. Like, where the fuck do you come up with this shit? But it's cool. And I also have to give a quick shout out to my Uncle Jim, who brought this home. And part of the reason why I am the way I am is because of him. And he told me this a long time ago when I was a kid. And I asked him, because we never had big albums in our house. Never had like the huge albums. We didn't have he was a stone rocker, man. 70 stone rocker. But we never had Zeppelins in our house. We had like one. Same thing with Black Sabbath. We didn't have Black Sabbath growing up. And we didn't have a lot of those, there was no all those kind of albums. He had shit like this, this and the less known bands, from that era. Of course he had his, Ted Nugent and stuff, and he was a big UFO fan, a big Judas Priest fan. So I had all that growing up. But I asked him, why didn't you have any of those? You didn't have Zeppelins or Sabbath or stuff like that. And he said, why? Everybody had them. He said there was no point in buying those when everybody had them and that's all you heard. He said, so that gave him the option to buy other stuff. So like he said, he purchased this just because of the cover. I looked in the back, looked like a bunch of rock dudes. The cover looked cool. Budgie Bandolier. Hey, how could you go wrong? And that's what he did. And, and growing up, not a lot of people knew about Budgie. I would ask, as getting into music on my own, I would ask about it. No one knew a lot about Budgie, man. Not like now where you got the internet, so it's wide, and I didn't even know there was other albums by Budgie until, the early 90s when I really got into collecting music and stuff on my own. I didn't know how many albums they had, didn't know who was what was where, none of that stuff. All I knew was this album. That was it. This one and Impeccable, because my other uncle had that one. Napoleon Bonaparte is probably the most epic song, one of the most known on here, along with Breaking the House Rules was a big song for them as well. It was like I Ain't No Mountain. That was always a fun one to play, and everybody played it. It's got a lot of cowbell in it, man. I Can't See My Feelings is probably one of my most favorite rock tunes. It's just so good. Oh man, it's just good. But again, if you like some hard rock, borderline heavy metal stuff, check out Budgie, a band from Wales. All through the 70s, they made albums. They made albums through the 80s, not as many, but through the 80s. And there's also, for those Metallica fans, especially for the newer fans, the song Bread Fan is a Budgie song. Okay, so yes, anyone knows Bread Fan but doesn't know where it came from, that's a Budgie song, originally a Budgie song, off of the Never Turn Your Back on a Friend album. Also, from the original Garage Days that came out in the 80s, the first one, they did a song called Crash Course in Brain Surgery. That's also a Budgie tune. All right, so they were big Budgie fans. As far as I remember, Burke Shelley, the singer, bass player, was a roadie for Metallica at one point. And that was partial, I think, how they got to know Budgie. I'm not sure, but I know Lars is a huge Budgie fan. But yeah, you can too. You can be also as well, right? So again, for what's on the slab, this is what's on the slab constantly here. I'm a huge rocker, man. I am. As much as I love punk and everything, I'm a huge just music fanatic, but I'm a huge rocker. Check out this album. Check out anything else by Budgie. Like I said, the earlier stuff is more of like a Sabbath sound, like gritty, sludgy, like Master of Reality kind of sound. Check out the first two albums. These ones are more hard rocking, more upbeat. I said borderline metal. And of course, the 80s, they did like Tiger Panzer Division or whatever that song is. Oh, that song rocks. Well, that's more of like a heavy metal cut. All right, so there you go. Budgie, Bandolier. That's our what's on the slab for this one. Check us out. Leave your comments as well. If you guys know what I'm talking about or you disagree with me or whatever, leave your own comments. You know what I mean? But subscribe, like. You guys can hit us up at MoonKILL at Gmail, moonkillradio at Gmail. Again, if you got some even old stuff, if you got an old record, you're like, hey man, you ever heard of this? Even if you have, even if I have, leave your own review. Nice and short, but leave it. We'll read it on here, man. All right. So until the next one, MoonKILL Radio, we're out.